and district local government elections on the same day. How? We can use ballot papers that have color codes. You give a color to the presidential ballot paper, you give a color to the constituency parliamentary ballot paper, you give a color to the district woman MP's ballot paper, you give a color to the LC5 chairman, and so on and so forth. It will also save political parties from sending polling agents, 1 for the presidential desk, 2 for the constituency MP's desk, 3 for the woman MP's desk, and even for the others. All the ballot papers will be given at one point. So the presiding officer will give you the ballot paper for the presidential election, the ballot paper for the constituency MP, for the woman MP, for the LC5, and the color of the ballot paper will match the color of the ballot box. So even if you don't want to understand, you go to the basin with those 4 or 5 ballot papers and you tick. Then the ballot boxes will be lined up and you'll put your ballot papers. We will save a lot of money. These are ideas that we have proposed. But of course, the money swindlers have to have a budget, because the more elections you have, the more presiding officers, the more money you can divert. But ultimately, citizens have got to campaign actively for those ideas. It is not about Norbert Mao. For me, when I raise the banner and you think it is the right thing, please join me and fight for it. If you abandon me alone, you also suffer anyway. In our place there, we have a saying that if you are running from danger, you should tell your feet that if you don't run fast, you will also suffer. It is not me alone who will suffer. We are also proposing a change on electoral system. I will never get tired of repeating. Our answer to what we call the winner take all is what we call proportional representation. This has been our idea since 1960s as DP. Using the platform of the Inter-Party Organization for Dialogue, we presented these ideas, and President Museveni said the ideas need to be studied further. How does proportional election system work? And where is it working? It works in Rwanda, it works in South Africa. It works in most of the Scandinavian countries. It works in countries, partially in Canada, and I believe it would be the best system for Uganda. It will achieve 2 things. Number 1, it will eliminate political corruption. Why are politicians engaged in corruption? Because they need money in order to win elections. Elections are very, very expensive. We now have a pay-as-you-go election system. Every candidate goes and after speaking, they will say, oyogedde bulungi nnyo naye otulese otya. People start touching their throats. We are thirsty. Because the government is failing to deliver some services, MPs now have to buy ambulances. MPs are drilling boreholes. MPs, and where is that money from anyway? When people die in the villages, even somebody that does not know the MP personally will put the MP's name among those to be informed of the death. We wish to announce the death of Koja so and so. We wish to inform Jaja so and so. We inform this one, we inform this. We also inform our beloved MP, Honorable so and so. I'm not related to you really. Otherwise, we should now be informing the president of every death because he's the president of Uganda. But it is because of a political culture which now is open to abuse. So how does proportional representation cure that? Number one, the country will have to decide that one MP shall represent 150,000 citizens. That means the size of parliament will reduce automatically to 300. You can decide to have a national list, but it would be preferable to have electoral areas and you have lists for those areas. So you would divide the country into electoral areas. You can say Kigezi, Ankole, Bunyoro. You can have Greater Masaka. You can have Kampala. You can have Sebei. You can have Bugisu. The options are many, but what matters is that based on population, you now decide how many seats will be an electoral area. Right now, you have some constituencies in Kalangala with 2,000 voters. They also have an MP. Then Kampala is the most underrepresented. It has millions of people, but very few members of parliament. By my own calculation, Kampala, which has probably roughly 3 million people, will then automatically have 20 seats. So each party would have to file with the Electoral Commission the list of its vetted candidates. That system will give power back to the political parties. Right now, political parties actually have no say about how MPs behave in parliament. Even the most powerful party, according to its own opinion, the NRM, has failed to whip its members of parliament. You see what happens in parliament. The president says, this is what I want. The MPs do what they want. This system will ensure that political parties take a center stage again. Because you need an organization. Right now, you would imagine that the politics of Uganda is similar to a situation where there are no more structured churches, there are no more structured religious bodies like Islam and so on, but everybody is a street side preacher. Whoever is capable of talking well and has a big loudspeaker, everybody now is at a street corner preaching. But there is no determining who qualifies to be a preacher, what is their address, is their message good for the country, so that we avoid. So our politics is now allowing the Kibweteres of the world to join. In fact, some of the leaders we have are sort of cult leaders like Kibwetere. They are leading their people into total destruction. Proportional representation addresses that problem. It will allow parties to take charge. That's the way it is in South Africa. Then after elections, or during elections first, you vote for the party. DP will present its list of 20 people. And the voters will know that when we vote DP, this is the quality we shall get. That system will also allow some of you who are shy, who fear the fights on the ground, to come and be on the party list. After voting, each party will be allocated seats according to the percentage of votes they have got. We have done the mathematics and we have found that if we had proportional representation in 1980, the UPM would have got 5 seats, not only 1. And DP would have been in government if it was proportional representation. If we had proportional representation, NUP would have MPs outside Buganda, more MPs outside Buganda, because NUP got a lot of votes outside Buganda. Now, all the NUP who, Northern Uganda, Western Uganda, they are totally their opinion is not there. You have just been cancelled out. And also NRM would have more seats in Buganda. I have analyzed the election results. A lot of MPs are in parliament with less than 50% of the votes. Some even have 25% of the votes. But it is possible if there are 15 candidates and everybody gets a little share, the one who gets the majority votes will be announced. We call that system first past the post. It is a system the Democratic Party would like to reform and replace with proportional representation. Parliament will be more representative and it will be stronger. So how do you balance low population areas? Some of you will ask that regions with high population will dominate parliament. Our solution is an upper house. Whether you call it a National Council of State, whether you call it a Senate, whatever name you give it, we shall have an upper house where Uganda will be divided into certain regional areas. You will have Buganda, Karamoja, you will have West Nile, you will have Bunyoro, and so on. And each of them will vote 2 representatives in that upper house. That will balance the imbalance in the lower house. So I wish to call upon Ugandans to join us, or even to join me in speaking out about a systemic solution to a systemic problem. Some of us even were thinking as far as having a ceremonial president, which is rotational. Because Ugandans are very excited about having a president. So let the ceremonial president be rotational. After all, it is a head of state to cut tapes, to receive visiting heads of state, to open parliament, to sign bills, the way you have King Charles III. Have you ever seen King Charles declaring war, that British troops should go and invade any country? But he's the head of state, he's respected, he's a symbol of the unity. In Uganda, when you become president, you are now a symbol of the division of the country. So, the chief executive, the head of government, would be an executive prime minister who must go and tussle it out in parliament daily. There is no better system of accountability than that, the way you have in other parliamentary democracies. So DP is in favor of parliamentary democracy. Some people are saying DP supports parliamentary democracy because they want to undermine other political parties. This has been our idea. By the way, when DP was founded, there was no NRM, there was no President Museveni. So, mutulekemu. For us, we were formed for other reasons. You who have formed parties to fight one man, you continue with your business. When that one man is not there, we shall see what your issue will be. We also believe that corruption can be fought by moving money away from Kampala. There is too much money concentrated in Kampala. That's why nobody wants to leave. Civil servants are swearing affidavits, amending their birthdays so that they can stay. We believe in devolution as DP. Ultimately, we expect that we will have a federal system of government. A percentage of the budget of Uganda should immediately go to those regional governments, those units, so that there will be more accountability. Because holding the entire Republic of Uganda accountable is so difficult. But I can hold my Bunyoro region accountable. If the Bunyoro know that, 1 trillion has been sent to Bunyoro, definitely you are dealing with people who understand that area. It works in other countries. Even in South Africa, you have Gauteng, KwaZulu-Natal, Western Cape, Eastern Cape. All those are areas that receive a definite share of the budget. Kenya has attempted it by having governors and sending money directly, a fixed percentage of the budget. Those are ways of fighting corruption. You disperse money from the center. I hope that apart from organizing demonstrations, which I believe are permitted by the Constitution, but the fight against corruption must address the root causes, not the symptoms. So those are our answers as the Democratic Party. Our answer to the concentration of power is devolution. Our answer to the winner take all is proportional representation. Another answer we have for corruption is to make sure those who accumulate money corruptly know that there will be a reckoning. So we are proposing, and indeed we proposed in the 2021 manifesto, the creation of a stolen assets recovery tribunal. Judicial officers should be appointed, and citizens should be free to go and report to them about ill-gotten wealth. For instance, if this house is a government house, and I use my position to corruptly acquire it, the way many people have acquired houses in Nakasero, Kololo, people have stolen forests, people have stolen wetlands, I would then be summoned by the tribunal, and I would be told, Mr. Mao, we have a sworn statement that you corruptly acquired what is supposed to be for Ugandans. What do you have to say for yourself? If I cannot prove that I acquired it legitimately within the law and without corruption, the Stolen Assets Recovery Tribunal should recover that property and give it back to the government. But in Uganda of today, we ridicule those who don't seem to have accumulated wealth. The other day I saw people are comparing houses. So they put a house for the NUP leader, a house for the former FDC president, a house for the ANT leader. Then they put mine also, Chiumba Chataka. In other words, the citizens themselves are encouraging leaders to steal. So citizens are so proud of the mansions of the leaders. Instead of asking a question, how did you acquire it? If tomorrow you hear that I own a 20-storied structure in the center of Kampala city, why wouldn't you say, how did Mr. Mao get that? Has he won a lottery? Did he win some sports betting? How did he get it? But you will see Bukede saying, Abagaga mu Kampala. Then even the thief will be put there. That is also a Mugaga. So we need to change the culture. We should not celebrate thieves. Whatever we do, let us have integrity. Those who legitimately make their money, let them enjoy their money. For the rest of us, when we want to do something, we have to call fundraising. You beg people for money, then you do what you want to do. So I call upon those who mean to fight corruption to do it seriously, not just for the sake of drama. Let me close by talking briefly about what we are doing in DP. I know you have been talked to by our spokesperson and other leaders. We are being challenged in court, as you know. Some people went to court and said that the DP leadership is in office illegally. Of course, if you have a legal problem, then it has to be settled in court. We have never taken anybody to court, by the way. We are the ones who are taken to court. Maybe we need to start taking some people to court also. Ever since I was elected president, we have fought over 50 cases, and we have been successful. DP has a constitution, and that's what guides our decisions. DP is not guided by the opinion of hecklers, in the same way that it is not the noise by fans which governs a football match. It is governed by FIFA rules and the decisions of a referee based on the rules. So in DP, we are guided by three things. Number one is the party constitution. Number two is our traditions. What do I mean by our traditions? Our tradition means that we believe in fairness. You know, sometimes people come to me and say, Norbert Mao, you are too patient with those fighting you. It is in the tradition of DP to be patient and listen to everybody. It is in the tradition of DP to even allow what the Baganda call a jogo. That's our tradition. In which party do you think would leaders entertain party members coming to the party headquarters, denouncing the party leadership, while expressing support for the leader of another party? Only in DP, that's our tradition. As we went to 2020 elections, we had party members who came here and demonstrated the whole day. When there was a meeting of the National Executive, they were singing here, right here. Twagala Bobby Mao. They sang for 9 hours. Now, those are our traditions. In other parties, either they would beat you up, or expel you, or do what. But that is them. They are also building their own tradition. In DP, we believe in debate. So our traditions guide us. In DP, we also listen to our elders. So we stay in constant consultation. But more importantly, in DP, the leadership is not very far from the center of the current leadership. I've been telling those who want to lead DP, I say, but you are too far, why don't you come closer? That's also our tradition. In order to become DP president, I had to come very close to the leadership of the party. And I had my issues, but I expressed them. We also have a tradition of respecting authority. In DP, the chair of the president is blessed. And anybody who fights it does not end well. That is how it has been in DP. You have seen some of the people who left DP here. You know, I told them when they were joining NUP, I saw some of them were wearing aprons like for cooks. And they put writings that DP block joins NUP. So I told my young brother Chagulanyi, I said, you know, you have stolen my firewood, but some of them have insects which may bite you. When you make your choto with the firewood which you have stolen from DP, you must know why those firewoods had been kept far from the fire. Because we know they have insects. Why were we not using the firewood in our central choto? We had kept them near the Lusuku. Now you come, you look at it and say, this is good firewood. So you take it to your choto. Now the insects are crawling up your trousers and biting you, and you are jumping around. So sometimes you should also listen to the advice of some of us who have some experience in political combat, because we have been in it for a very long time. We knew it would happen, and we said it anyway. You remember the jokes we made that we said that now we are following the mantra of Bikwase Chagulanyi. So all our problems we have now handed them over to you. So we follow our constitution, we follow our traditions. The third thing we follow is reason. Many parties lack that. You see how they make their decisions, and you wonder, how have they arrived at that position? So we use reason in DP. Because the Constitution does not cover everything. That's why we call ourselves brain power. Let me announce what we are going to do to show that DP is ready to lead on the issues that matter for Uganda. Now, using my position, not only as president of the Democratic Party, the oldest party in Uganda, and most respected and indispensable party, because nobody who has ever been in DP has ever been ashamed of having belonged to DP. Not even President Museveni. Everybody who has ever been in DP is very proud to associate with DP because of what DP stands for. You can denounce Mao, you can denounce the leaders, that's another matter. But you cannot denounce DP. I wish to announce that we shall be convening a special session of the National Consultative Forum of Political Parties to discuss the state of the nation together. You know that the National Consultative Forum is chaired by the NRM, and the deputy chair is from NUP, and they attend the meetings, in case you think they don't attend. So we shall call all these members. And the National Consultative Forum of political parties brings together all registered political parties, some of which you have never heard of. I want Ugandans to take charge of the fight for the reforms, of the fight for the transition. I have spoken like John the Baptist. My voice is hoarse. I have shouted and shouted and shouted. But I hope somewhere people are listening, that it is possible to have peaceful transition. People thought that immediately we signed the cooperation agreement that there will be a new president. The cooperation agreement was not about overthrowing President Museveni. It was about creating a broad center and marginalizing extremists on both sides of the divide. The NRM has extremists. They say, Mzee Tova Kumain. They are also blind. They are deaf. They don't hear what other Ugandans are saying. Then, in the opposition side, we have the extremists. We call them regime change fundamentalists. They are saying he will go, whether he likes it or not, whether constitutionally or unconstitutionally, he must go. Now, DP says, let's build a broad center so that these other extreme voices are marginal. There are extreme voices everywhere. That's what the cooperation agreement was about. But instead, I read writings from journalists or pseudo-journalists, and I wonder what their objective is. Before you get a pen and write, you should ask, what do I want to communicate? As Norbert Mao, I already have my brand, which I have built for so many years. You cannot destroy it with a Facebook post or with something on TikTok. First of all, people will ask, who are you? What's your motive? You cannot. Even if you call the Pope a night dancer, it won't change anything. It will not change the church. When we made public the cooperation agreement, everybody was embarrassed. Instead, they are asking us, how did you negotiate it? But still, people are not reading the cooperation agreement. We insist that the 4 issues will be discussed by the National Consultative Forum of Political Parties, namely constitutional reforms, national dialogue, national reconciliation, and peaceful presidential transition. That one, we believe we are right. We may be few in the opinion of some people, but we are right. Fortunately, our greatest critics are now beginning to speak our language. I now hear some of those who really criticized us are now saying, we must talk about a peaceful transition. We need a national dialogue. We need... So please, if I am right, acknowledge that I'm right, however much you hate me. So that is an important activity which we are going to carry out. I believe in the month of September, we have to talk about Uganda. As you know, the National Consultative Forum of Political Parties is established by the Constitution of Uganda. And that is where we should be quarreling. So people ask me, what has the cooperation agreement achieved? Apart from you becoming a minister and so on. It takes 2 to tango. Institutionalizing the cooperation agreement is a headache both for DP and for NRM. I think it is even harder in the NRM because in the NRM it is not even being discussed by the party organs. So I think most of them see it as a President Museveni affair. In DP, we have tried to engage with our members, and many of our members are asking tough questions. But the answer lies in the document. I want to assure DP members that this cooperation agreement is not open-ended. It has an expiry date. It expires with this term of parliament. And I cannot extend it alone. So relax. We are heading to critical meetings of party organs, the National Council and the Delegates Conference. And I'm sure those organs will pronounce themselves decisively and seriously on what we did and whether it is good for Uganda or not. The cooperation agreement was never about Norbert Mao. It was never about DP. It was about Uganda. And I think on that one, we are right. If it was about Mao becoming a minister, I want to tell you that I was offered the job of a minister in June 2021. Do you think I hate salaries also? Who would not want to be paid? So why would I miss a whole year's salary because of a principle that we must have a document, we must negotiate? Tell me how others become ministers. I want them to come and tell you their own stories. I think for some people, if they got a call from the president, they would even stand up and at attention. But for me, I said, well, thank you for the offer. I'm willing to serve my country. But remember, I'm a leader of a political party. Give me time to consult. You must have a lot of courage to talk like that. I don't know how many of you were here. If I said now, okay, President Museveni is now in that room, go now and have a discussion with him. Really, I think the president should do something. Anyway, some people even fear to meet him because they know that they will be paralyzed. So if he came here and they said, okay, he's now there, it is like those insulting the Katikiro. If the Katikiro came and said, okay, I'm now here, please. I don't know whether you, these ones, the comedians I see on TikTok, they say, okay, the Katikiro is now there, now go and raise your issues, assuming they are even real issues. Or you are just gathering likes. Because some people use us to get likes. And we cannot blame them because can you now talk about some unknown person to get likes? You must talk about people who are known. So you wake up, you record something about Norbert Mao. In fact, they start saying, liking her, sharing her. Those are now Luganda words. So, DP deserves respect for proposing the third way. The first way is Tova Kumain, which we disagree with. President Museveni is not immortal. There will come a day when he will not wake up. And Ugandans must know what is going to happen. You saw what happened in Britain. The people fired the government. The Prime Minister who lost elections knows that what people expect is not him leading a demonstration, but to be a word. No. Just come in front there, say, thank you for giving me the opportunity to serve. I'm now going to offer my resignation letter to the king. And within 30 minutes, the new person went to be welcomed by the king. Even his luggage had been removed the night before. The civil servants were in charge. The government worked. Here in Uganda, if you hear that the president is not there, I think many people would first go into hiding to say what is going to happen. Some of the citizens would now think that's the opportunity to get a free car from the bond, to get a flat screen TV, to break into shops. Others will be attacking KFC, and so on and so forth. That is a sign that we have a big task to build the state and to build the nation. And that requires all of us. So I totally disagree with the politics of contention, excessive contention. Uganda is still like a house whose floor is not yet hard enough. You cannot start dancing nankasa on a floor which is still delicate. So we need to unite. The cooperation agreement reduced pressure. So those who are accusing us that it worked for Museveni, they are partly right, because it reduced the pressure against President Museveni. Because we knew that those who were generating the pressure, some of them with support from negative forces from overseas, would not make a better replacement. And we are not fools. And we have tried to ally with all of them. Those who are criticizing us, there's none of them that we have not tried to ally with. So for the time being, we shall continue to hold hands with the NRM, continue our discussions. It is difficult, but Ugandans must realize that we have to engage about the future. Some of the people in NRM are not happy with the way I talk. Just in case you need to know. The day I said that the president doesn't need to build another road, another bridge, another factory, instead he should preside over peaceful change, somebody called in a radio station in Gulu and said, Norbert Mao has now been given a big ministerial position. He's eating. He has no table manners. Why is he talking badly yet he is eating? In fact, the reshuffle should come and they remove him. Even us who have been dying in NRM need to be in that position. He's not appreciative. He's ungrateful. In my heart, I said, was I found begging? Am I such a stranded person? If really I started looking for a job to have a salary, would I fail completely? Was I picked from the gutter? Fortunately, somebody else called that same radio station in Gulu and said, I have heard the comments from that NRM cadre saying that Mao should be dismissed from cabinet for talking badly. I want to thank him very much for saying that. Please hurry up and dismiss Mao from the cabinet. Send him back to us alive. Most of our sons and daughters who are given high positions come back in coffins. So please, hurry up and send back Mao. That's when the talk show moderator said, we will now take a break. So I want to assure Ugandans that nobody has a monopoly of talking rubbish. Because those two sides, that conversation was not necessary. But since the other fellow was driving it in that direction, this one who called had to drive him in also in that direction and say, okay, send him back. We shall come up to Karuma and carry him up to home instead of carrying him in a coffin. So I think Ugandans have to be very careful. This country belongs to all of us, but some of you have handed it over to President Museveni and the NRM. We must engage with President Museveni for the sake of our country. And I believe he's willing to engage. So what is the future of DP? In the delegates conference, I will offer myself for the position of president of the party. And in DP, the president of the party is the presidential flag bearer. So, given that this cooperation agreement expires with this term, it means I will be running for president of Uganda. Anything may happen in between, but for now, I want there to be no doubt in anybody's mind that DP has surrendered its space. DP cannot surrender its space. We are now holding consultations to put viable candidates, most of whom lost election to the red wave. The red wave has now been discredited as the biggest con job of the millennium. Ugandans were conned, particularly Buganda. People were talking, tomorrow is election day, we are going to pick coffee. Pick the red ones, those are the ripe ones. The yellow ones are rotten. The green ones are not yet ready. How can you compare serious issues of the state with the picking coffee? Okay, now you pick the red coffee. Even the price of coffee is not doing very well. Tugende tunoge mwanye nchakalulu, munoge myufu, zenungi, eza kyenvu, mvundu, eza kiragala, tezinatuuka, tezinaba. Rural excitement. So DP is going back to tell the people that we would have loved to say Twabagamba, but we will not say it. But still we will have said it. You look at the kind of characters balonda abantu abatali mwensa. Anyway, omuganda agamba etaala ereeta enswa yereeta n'ebizezengere. So some people, instead of picking the white ants, pick those unedible ants, just because they also fly. So DP is going to hit the ground very hard. What are the first steps? We have already done the launch of registrations. For DP members, please make sure you are on the register, because if you are not on the register, you are not going to be a participant. And the letters inviting people for the delegates conference will be signed by the Secretary General, the Honorable Dr. Gerard Siranda. And if you don't have that invitation, you won't be in the delegates conference. So it is really a waste of time talking about Mao. Just register and come and campaign. Because DP follows its constitution. We believe we will do much better in the next election because we will be ready. And we are preparing quietly. We are saving money. As you know, as DP, we are not extravagant. I think of all the parties, we may have the biggest reserve of the money, the little money we receive from the National Treasury. That's how we are able to acquire property and do things, because we are very, very, very astute with expenditure. Next, we are going to open 16 regional offices. At every office opening, we shall address a rally and give to the people our message. And the people will know that our message is the best, because it is the best alternative. We hope Ugandans will trust us that if DP is in partnership with the NRM, NRM will do a better job. Of course, nobody appreciates what we do, but we do a lot of things to moderate. You see, even a mad person has that person that they respect. In my village, we had a mad person. He would even get a panga and he says he's going to kill somebody. But then when somebody who that mad person respects stands up and says, no, 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 put the panga down, somehow he puts it down, and you wonder. So I am there in government. Some of you want to sell me to NRM by force. I may be your Joseph in the Bible. If I wanted to join NRM, I know how to join NRM. I don't need a lecture from anybody. I may be your Esther. Because of the position I'm in, I'm assisting in very many quiet ways. Some of the people who make noise on Twitter, sometimes when they're in real tough problems, Norbert Mao, I have a great fear. Then I talk to those people. Because the first thing I did when I became minister, in less than 6 weeks, was to take a paper in cabinet to establish the Cabinet Standing Committee on Human Rights. Human rights is a big problem, even for you journalists. It is tough. I don't want to talk about everything, but we must still stand up and say, no matter what you are doing, this is what you should be doing according to the law. Now, that's not an offense. So I don't know why you don't talk that way. Why don't you talk to the government about your expectations of the government instead of insulting people? Because when you focus on insults, you give actually you are handing the government spokespersons a gift. For instance, if assuming I'm corrupt, and instead you are insulting my face, by now you have lost your main point of corruption. You are now giving me a license to engage me on that level. So why don't people wake up also on that? I believe very strongly that our cooperation is an opportunity. I call on Ugandans to join me in putting pressure, not only on President Museveni, but on the entire government, so that the issues that we put in that agreement are implemented. Government responds to pressure, but instead of adding the pressure, you are just insulting Norbert Mao. This is not about Norbert Mao. But maybe that's what the Gen Z is about. You must know the kind of government we have. This is a government that is capable of resorting to force to ensure order. I don't know how many of you covered the famous 23rd July demonstration. I saw also military trucks patrolling, the streets of Kampala. That is a message. So why don't you remove from your head illusions about the kind of government we have? You have fiction. Most of you are novelists. You have some novel in your head. I want you to know that we must deal with things the way they are, not the way we wish they were. I came to town on that day. The Parliamentary Avenue was closed completely. Most of the demonstrations occurred on social media. People really demonstrated. There were big demonstrations on social media. Also, there are ways to demonstrate. So, by the way, I'm a very good organizer of demonstrations. I want you to know. And DP is the best organizer of demonstrations. Our demonstrations from City House were always the best. Everybody would rely. So I don't blame the other parties that are blaming us, because we are now not playing the Akatemba. So they are really annoyed with us, because we are always the ones who, we started Tojikwatako, we were at the center of Walk to Work. During Walk to Work, I went to Gulu. All I did was to paint on the streets. I put, you young people, do you know how to protest? And it doesn't need that you need a lot of money. So we just got these old boxes, cut the shape of feet, and wrote words, Walk to Work. then bought spray paint. So you place the cardboard and then you spray. Then when you remove it, the words remain. We went on doing that, walk to work, so wherever people went. Now, you are there shouting on social media. I look at all the walls. There's even not a single poster saying, say no to corruption. Instead, you are there that please give us money to make pilau for those who are in prison. The cause is not about feeding those who are in jail. The cause is about letting the government know that, you know, this is a serious problem and we are tired. I thought they would make signs of anti-corruption. You don't even need to go to parliament. You just stand on the veranda of the shop and hold the sign. But have you mobilized the thousands to stand? Who stopped you? If I stood with a placard saying, say no to corruption, so is someone going to come and just beat me up? Now, for us in DP, we also had a force to defend demonstrators. Now, that's a secret. Some of you don't know. When we would go for demonstrations, first of all, I have a force to defend me against the police. By the way, getting to me was not easy. One day, this is another secret I'm telling you. We knew that some of the people who come with the police are not really police officers. They are just goons. So in the briefing, we told our people, respect the uniform. Those who are in uniform, don't abuse them, don't do anything. But these other ones, so I remember in one instance, we were holding our banner on which was written, Koji Kwatako. So we were moving. Then one of the goons pushed his way. We also had our own defense system. 5 of our team got him and dragged him behind Radio 1 and taught him to respect civilians. So, let me tell you, don't organize through noise. Let the thing be impactful. When we were demonstrating in Gulu, we bought grains, beans, soya. Now that one was for pouring on the road so that the police trucks can't move. You know, police trucks can't move on soya or beans. They could not chase us. They were just dancing on the road. The other thing we did was to buy super glue. So the moment the officers left their cars, our team, some of them were children who looked innocent. So they go and squeeze super glue in the keyhole. So now when the stones started flying, the officers were running to their car, the key could not enter. You see, simple things. So I do not know why people don't come to me for little lectures on protests. Now, have you ever seen a DPC running? We saw it in Gulu because he tried to enter his car. Super glue was there. Took off on foot. It was the best sight ever. So when I see, anyway, I'm writing a book on walk to work. You'll read some of those tactics. So I see, okay, you may want to win awards, you may want to attract funding, but also, what about the impact on the things you want to achieve? It is not there. And yet you can have it. Our wall is here of DP. I don't even see a poster. Is there a police officer stopping anybody from putting a poster there? For us, we even learned graffiti. We sent brave young people. They painted the wall of Electoral Commission, which was guarded by police. I even don't know how they do it, but I gave the order. I said, take that message to Electoral Commission. The next morning, they had written. They even wanted to do it in front of the Nakasero State House gate, but the plan didn't work. The original plan was that somebody should drive a car and then pretend that the car has gotten spoiled. So then somebody would go under it and paint under the car. Our tojikwata ko. Then they would open the bonnet and then they enter the car, then start and take off. And of course, the number plates had been effect. So where there is some other, like 3, they had put black sellotape to make it look like 8 and things like that. So I think this is my free advice to you young people, to know what you are dealing with. And it will take time. It will not happen on one day. It is like our campaign for peace talks in the north. You know, the government said no peace talks. But we kept on building the momentum, slowly, slowly. But now you hype it so much, so when the members come, you just deflate like a ball, like a balloon. And you demoralize these young people who are looking up to you. So you really need to shape up if you want to. For me, I'm just giving you my opinion, because these are things we have done. We started demonstrating all the way 1990 in Makerere, 1989. We were demonstrators. Then you build solidarity with the people. But now if people think that if you are demonstrating, you are going to steal their mandazis, steal their sodas, then you are not together with them. Right now, if you announce a demonstration, pickpockets will join you and so on. You don't have traffic wardens, you don't have this. How can you have a successful demonstration? Your message is mixed up. 1 minute you are saying the speaker should resign, another minute you are saying this, another minute you are saying this. You are not, the anger is too much. Be calm, like Jesus. Jesus was opposing an empire, but he never lost his head. Now you lose your head over one individual. You may condemn me, but some of us are abazirwanako. So if you have been taking notes, you know what to do. Deportation is done by Kenya, isn't it? Because government is deporting. So I think that question, are you from Nation TV? Okay, I think the Nation TV, I hope you can ask that question. But now that I know, I can write to the Attorney General of Kenya to protest. No, I think they replaced. You are a newsman, but it seems you are not up to date. They have actually appointed some new people. No, I've told you I will write. But also, the FDC people, I don't know, what have they done about it? Apart from a press conference. So, they were deported for being part of the demonstration.